students and friends. In the previous session we have started with chapter number 6. It is molecular basis of inheritance. In this chapter till now we have studied the structure of DNA, and now we are going ahead. Once the structure of DNA that was discovered by the Watson and Crick, the Francis Crick has given a concept that the DNA is considered as the central dogma of life. So today we are going to learn that why this DNA can be called as central dogma of a life. So let's discuss why the DNA is considered as a central dogma of life. So I am just writing why DNA is central dogma of life. What is the reason why we are considering this DNA as a central dogma of life? So why we are considering is that you know that normally the genetic material that you can find in the living organism, that is a DNA. A process of formation of DNA from DNA. A process of formation of DNA from DNA. This process we are calling it as replication. In the previous session we have learned that what is a replication? Replication, that means a process of formation of DNA from the DNA itself. This is called as replication. Now from this DNA the mRNA is going to be produced. What is going to be produced? mRNA. What we are calling it as messenger RNA. The process of formation of mRNA from DNA, this process is called as transcription. What we are calling it as transcription. Now from this mRNA, what is going to be produced? Here the proteins are going to be produced. And the process of formation of protein from the mRNA, that we are calling it as translation. This process is called as translation. So here the proteins which are going to be produced, these proteins have some structural and the functional role in our body. They are performed certain functions in our body, and that is performed by a translation process. So see how the process occurs. A DNA is produced from DNA, that process is called as replication. From DNA the mRNA is produced, that process is called as transcription. From mRNA the proteins are going to be produced, this process is called as translation. And these proteins which is going to be produced have some structural and the functional role in our body. That means that protein can serve as a structure of many components and many organs in our body. And here there are also few proteins which have functions in our body. And that's why it has very important role. But these proteins, if you see that protein is ultimately going to be produced by it's from DNA. And that's why we are considering this DNA as central dogma of life. If there is no DNA, okay, the replication process does not occur. Means a new DNA synthesis does not occur. And obviously new cell formation does not occur, because the new cell requires a formation of a DNA. Even the mRNA does not occur, means it doesn't get transcribed if there is no DNA. The mRNA has a codon, but the DNA is serving as a reference for providing the genetic codes. And if there is no mRNA is produced, obviously the proteins are not going to be produced, and structural and functional role of protein cannot be fulfilled. That's why the DNA is considered as central dogma of a life. And this concept was proposed by a scientist called as Francis Crick. This is the name of a scientist who has proposed this concept. Okay, the DNA is considered as a central dogma of a life. Students, you have to remember these three processes: replication, second transcription, and third it's translation. In this chapter we will learn these three processes in detail. Replication means synthesis of DNA from DNA itself. Transcription means synthesis of mRNA from DNA. And the translation means synthesis of protein from mRNA. Ultimately, all things that happens with the DNA, That's why the DNA is considered as central dogma of a life. Now, but there are few exceptional organisms. Like for an example, in the case of a viruses. Normally in every living organism the genetic material is DNA. Why it is DNA? That will again we will see, we will prove it by an experiment. Why only the DNA is serving as a genetic material and not the RNA? Because if you see, both are chemically nucleic acid. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and the RNA, that is ribonucleic acid. Both are nucleic acid. But from DNA and the RNA, the DNA is serving as a genetic material. Why? That we will see in the next session. But here if you see the viruses, they are the exceptionals. There are two kind of viruses are there. The first is called as DNA viruses. Okay, in this DNA viruses, the genetic material is DNA. And the second is RNA viruses. Here the genetic material is RNA. Okay. So if it is a DNA viruses, no problem, the process occurs like this. But there are also few viruses in which the genetic material is RNA. And this kind of viruses are called as retroviruses. Okay, they are called as retroviruses. Means here the genetic material is RNA and that is only found in viruses. So what happens in this case? Here there is no genetic material DNA. Here the genetic material is a RNA. So what happens in this case? I will tell you, before I start, what happens in this case, I will tell you the few examples of retroviruses. Like TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, which affect a plant. Second, you can say HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. This is a retrovirus. Even the latest one, okay, that is coronavirus. This is also an example of a retrovirus where the genetic material is RNA. So what happens in this case? Here what happens? Here the genetic material, in case of retroviruses, the genetic material is RNA. So now what happens in this case? First from RNA, the DNA is produced. From RNA, the DNA is produced. Here the reverse thing happens. Like here usually from DNA, mRNA is produced. The mRNA is produced from DNA, but here the reverse. A DNA is produced from RNA. And then the process occurs from this DNA, mRNA is produced, and then the protein is produced. You know the processes. This process, that synthesis of protein from mRNA, you are calling it as translation. Here, the mRNA synthesis from DNA, that you are calling it as transcription. But here, this is a difference. Here the DNA is produced from RNA, and that's why this process is called as reverse transcription. It is a reverse, the opposite thing that happens. So this is called as reverse transcription. So in case of RNA viruses, the reverse transcription occurs. Okay, whereas in normal, where the genetic material is DNA, replication, transcription and the translation process occurs. And that's why in most of the cases the DNA is the genetic material without which replication, transcription and translation does not occur. That's why we are calling the DNA as central dogma of life. Okay, so this is about why the DNA is considered as central dogma of life, and that concept was given by the Francis Crick. Now we are moving ahead that how this DNA has been pegged into a nucleus or within a cell. Okay, so let's see how packaging of DNA takes place. You know the basic structure of DNA. It is a polymer of two nucleotide chains. Okay, so you can say that it is polynucleotides which consist of two chains. How that is packed. So now we are going to discuss the packaging of DNA. How the DNA that is packed. Okay, you know that in the structure of DNA we have learned that the distance between the distance between two subsequent base pair is 3.4 angstrom, or you can also call it as 0.34 nanometer. This is the distance between two subsequent base pair in the structure of DNA. So I am just drawing the structure of DNA for your reference. It is a right-handed structure. Okay, this is a one chain, this is the another chain. Okay, now these are the base pairs which are present. 1, 2, 3, 4 base pairs. One base pair, second, third, fourth, fifth over here, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you know that the distance between two subsequent base pair, take any two. This distance is 3.4 angstrom, because in a one term there are 10 base pairs and the pitch of this one term is 34 angstrom. So the 34 by 10. So here the distance between two subsequent base pair is 3.4 angstrom, or you can say that 0.34 nanometer. Okay, you know the conversion, you might have learned in the physics. Okay, so this is a distance between two subsequent base pairs. Now we want to find out what is the total length of DNA. So we have to count how many number of base pairs are present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many? So in the first session or in the previous session we have learned that in the haploid content of human being, how many number of base pair? Haploid means n, that is 3.3 into 10 raised to 9 base pair. So in the diploid content, because the human being is the diploid, 2n, in the diploid we have to double it. So 3.3 into 2, it's 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 base pair. So how many base pairs are present? 6.6 into 10 raised to 9 base pairs are present in the diploid content. So when we multiply the number of base pairs with the distance between two subsequent base pair, we can find the total length of DNA. So how we can find? So the formula for finding the total length of DNA, total length of DNA is equal to number of base pairs, I'm just writing in a short, number of base pairs multiplied by distance between subsequent base pair. So you know that how many number of base pair? 6.6 into 10 raised to 9. This is the total number of base pair in the human being. Now the distance between two subsequent base pair, it is 3.4 angstrom. So you can say that 3.4 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter per base pair. I have just converted into a meter. I have converted the angstrom into meter. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 raised to minus 10 meters. So I am just multiplying with the 10 raised to minus 10. Okay. So now what happens? If you multiply this 6.6 into 3.4, okay, multiply manually, because in the NEET examination they will not provide you a calculator. So multiply manually 6.6 into 3.4 first, then the answer will be I know the answer, so I am direct writing 2.24 meter. This is the total length of a DNA. Okay, this is the total length of a DNA which comes. So human DNA total length is 2.24 meter. That is too much long. 2.24 meter means more than 6 feet, more than your height. Okay, this is the length of one DNA molecule. So how it has been packed into a micrometer size nucleus, because the size of nucleus is 10 raised to minus 6 meter, micrometer, it's in a micrometer. So how it can be packed in a very small? So that we have to learn in this packaging of DNA molecule. But before we learn this packaging of DNA molecule, I will also give you one examples that you can also find out the thing, and based on that the MCQ can also be asked. Okay, so let's discuss how the length can be calculated. You know that I have given one example. I am again giving you equation and then we are starting. Okay? Like say, so the length of DNA molecule, I am writing the equation, how you can find the length of DNA. The length of DNA is equal to total number of base pairs multiplied by the distance between two subsequent base pairs. Okay, this is the equation by which you can find out. If any two variables have been given, then you can find the three. Like in the previous case, you know the number of base pair in a human being, 6.6 into 10 raised to 9. You also know the distance between two subsequent base pair, it is 3.4 angstrom or 0.34 nanometer. So you can find out the length. But I am giving you a reverse. Such kind of a MCQ can be asked in the entrance examination. Let's see, if you have been given in the E. coli is a bacteria, Escherichia coli, the length of DNA molecule is 1.36 millimeter. So can you find how many number of base pairs are present? So here we have to find how many number of base pairs are present in the E. coli DNA. So we have to write over here how many number of base pairs are present. So I am just writing the length of DNA, it is 1.36 millimeter. I convert it into a meter. So millimeter to a meter, it's 10 raised to minus 3 meter. This is the length of a E. coli DNA. Now I have to find out the number of base pairs. I don't know how many number of base pairs because here I have to find the number of base pairs. I also know the distance between two subsequent base pair. The distance between two subsequent base pair is 3.4 angstrom. 3.4 angstrom. Okay, so I write just over here 3.4. It is angstrom. So to make it a unit, I convert it into you can say that meter. So 3.4 into 10 raised to minus 10. Okay, meter per base pair. Okay, so now what the equation here becomes, number of base pair is equal to, it comes over here, say 1.36 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter, 1.36 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter divided by 3.4 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter per base pair. So whatever the answer you can do it at home. Barabar, divide 1.36 by 3.4. Okay, whatever the answer, you can also do over here. Okay, usually the answer comes nearer to like this, 4.6 into 10 raised to 6 base pair. Okay, clear? Meter cancel, base pair goes upside. Okay, it goes in a numerator and the answer is like this, 4.6 into 10 raised to 6 base pair. Such kind of a question can be asked. Any two things will be given, either length of DNA, the distance between subsequent base pair is the unit, it is 3.4 angstrom or 0.34 nanometer. You should know how to convert it into a meter and then you can find out. If number of base pair and the distance is given, you can find the length. If the length and the distance is given, you can also find out the number of base pair. Such type of a question can be asked in an examination. So in short, this is the number of base pair in E. coli and this is the length of a DNA molecule, that is 1.36 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter or 1.36 millimeter. Now you know that in case of a human being, the total length of DNA is 2.24 meter. It is too much long. How we can pack into a micrometer size nucleus, even sometimes the nanometer size nucleus, how we can pack. So that we have to learn in the packaging of DNA. Okay, so we are going to start with the packaging of DNA, how the packaging of DNA is done. See, What is the DNA? You all of you know that. What is the DNA? The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the full form of DNA. All of you know it. It is negatively charged molecule. It is negatively charged molecules. You know that when there are similar charges, the repulsion occurs, and when there are opposite charges, the attraction takes place. So to attract here, it needs an opposite charge. Here the DNA is negatively charged. So the packing of DNA takes place with the help of some positively charged molecule. Which one it is, that we will see. So you know that there are two kinds of cells are there. First is called as prokaryotic cell, and the second one is called as eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell, like for an example, it is you can say that bacterial cell. This is an example of a prokaryotic cell. So how the packaging of DNA that occurs in a prokaryotic cell? First we will discuss that, and then we will discuss how it is packed into a eukaryotic cell like a human being, okay, or the plant. So first we will discuss how the packing occurs in a prokaryotic cell. In a prokaryotic cell, there is no well-defined nucleus, but still the DNA molecule, which is negatively charged, it combines with positively charged proteins. Here the DNA is negative charge and the protein are positive charge. Both are opposite charge, so obviously attraction occurs between them. They can combine with each other, and with the help of this positively charged protein, the DNA is going to be packed in a specific region in a cell, and this region is called as nucleoid. Thus, in the nucleoid region in a prokaryotic cell, the DNA has been packed. Prokaryotic cell do not have a well-defined nucleus. That doesn't mean the DNA is present in a scattered fashion in the cell. It is found very well or combined with a positively charged molecules called as a proteins in a specific region in a cell, what we are calling as nucleoid. And thus the packing occurs in a prokaryotic cell. Very simple. But the eukaryotic cells are the complex. They have a well-defined nucleus. So a complex kind of a packing that occurs in a eukaryotic cell. And here we have to mostly focus on the packaging in the eukaryotic cell or the human cell. So let's see how the packaging that occurs in the human cell or the eukaryotic cell. So now we are going to start how the packaging that occurs in a eukaryotic cell. Now you know that this is the eukaryotic cell. In eukaryotic cell there is a well-defined nucleus, and here the basic method remains the same. Here it also requires a positively charged protein. It requires a positively charged protein, and the positively charged protein which help in the packaging of a DNA molecule, it's called as histone protein. Which protein that helps? Histone protein. So DNA, which is a negatively charged molecules, they combines with a histone protein in a eukaryotic cell, because the histone protein is a positively charged molecule, and thus histone will help in the packaging of a DNA molecule. Okay? Now before I start, I just tell you one example. You might have seen thread what we are using to fly a kite, patang no doro. You might be using 5000 var, 4000, 3000 var, 2000 var. It is very long. How you are keeping in your house? You are just wrapping down. So same thing happens over here. Same thing happens over here. How this long DNA, 2.24 meter long DNA in the human cell that is packed into a nanometer size, or you can say a micrometer size, a cell. Micrometer and nanometer size cell and the nucleus even we cannot see through naked eyes. And the size of DNA is much more high, longer than your height. So how it can be packed? Just by wrapping. So how wrapping occurs? The wrapping that occurs with the help of a protein called as histone. Now we know that this is a histone is a positively charged protein. And why it is positively charged protein? Because it contains a positively charged amino acids. You know that proteins are made up of amino acids. So which positively charged amino acids are present? 3 positively charged amino acids are present. First is histidine, second is arginine, and third one is lysine. These three, this histone protein, they are rich in histidine, arginine and lysine type of positively charged amino acid, and that's why the charge of histone is positively charged. Now the DNA is negatively charged, histone is positively charged. The positive charge is due to this. So obviously the attraction occurs between them. But how they are organized? It is a proper way of organization. But before I tell you this histone, so what happens? This is a one histone molecule. So first of all, the 8 histone molecules they combine. How many? 8. And it forms histone octamer. It is an 8 molecule, so we are calling it as histone octamer. Like this. This suppose assume that this is the one molecule of histone. This is the second molecule, third molecule, fourth molecule, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it forms a cluster of 8 molecule of histone. This 8 molecule of histone it's called as histone octamer. Okay? Now this histone octamer that is wrapped by, I'm drawing, suppose assume that this is the histone octamer. Okay, it consists of 8 units of histone protein. So now what happens to this histone octamer? There is a wrapping of DNA molecule. This is a DNA molecule. A wrapping of DNA molecule. It turns. How many times it turns? Usually it turns 2 times. So now here it's a combination of, this is a histone. It is a histone octamer. Okay. And there is a wrapping around it. This wrapping around it, what we are calling as DNA. So now it's a combination of DNA and the histone octamer. The combination of DNA and the histone octamer, we are calling it as nucleosome. Remember, the combination of DNA and the histone octamer, we are calling it as nucleosome. In a one nucleosome, the DNA wrapping occurs. So in one nucleosome, how many base pairs are wrapped? There are 200 base pairs they are wrapped or circulated surrounding to it. So once there is a formation of nucleosome, you know that what is a nucleosome? Nucleosome is a combination of the histone octamer and the DNA. Once this is a nucleosome, it is properly organized, or this nucleosome, they are repetitively occurs. They occurs repetitively. 1, 2, 3, jode occur. Repetition. They are repetitively organized. Okay, and what it forms? It forms a chromatin. It forms a chromatin, a thread-like structure. Okay, this thread-like structure again it condenses. Again it condenses during the cell division process. Okay, specifically during the prophase and the metaphase, and that converts into a chromosome. That converts into a chromosome. Okay, so such the DNA is packed. Okay, first the DNA that is wrapped around the histone octamer. Histone octamer that consists of 8 histone molecules. Histone is a positively charged molecules, which is largely consists of histidine, arginine and the lysine. They are positively charged, so that's why this histone protein is a positively charged. And there is a attraction occurs between negatively charged DNA and positively charged histone octamer, and the unit is formed. That unit we are calling as nucleosome. That nucleosome contains 200 base pairs of DNA. Such nucleosome repetitively occurs. Jode jode, ekni jode biju, like triju, chautu, panchmu and so on. Repetitively occurs, and there is a formation of chromatin. This chromatin fiber that contains to form a chromosome. And this condensation process that occurs in a cell division. Thus the packaging of DNA that occurs in the human cell or the eukaryotic cell. Okay. Now, sometimes what happens? Sometimes what happens? The chromatin condenses to form a chromosome, but this condensation may be of two types. At certain point, this is a loose, and there are also points at where it is a dense, a tight condensation. A points where there are loose, these are lightly stained, and we are calling it as euchromatin. What we are calling it as euchromatin. In a typical nucleus, if there is a loose arrangement, then we are calling it as euchromatin. And if there is a very tight arrangement, then we are calling it as heterochromatin. What we are calling it as heterochromatin. If it is a loose, then we are calling it as euchromatin. If it is very dense arranged, then it's called as heterochromatin. The euchromatin, it is light stained. When you observe under a microscope, it is seen with a light color because light staining occurs. But the heterochromatin, it is a dark stain, a very dark staining that occurs in it. Okay, so such kind of a arrangement you can see. This euchromatin is a transcriptionally active. This is a part, a loose part that is used to synthesize the mRNA. This is transcriptionally active. But this dense part or the heterochromatin is not transcriptionally active. So such kind of arrangement and the packing is found in the structure of DNA. So here we have discussed the two things. First, how the length of DNA can be calculated, why the DNA is considered a central dogma of life, and how the packaging of DNA that occurs in the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. So there is important packaging of DNA is the important from examination point of view, and the other two are the short questions which can be asked. So students, learn it thoroughly, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.